Well, I just pulled out my SoundCraft inline console, 24 channel, and put in the TOFT board, which just arrived, though it's supposed to arrive on a pallet, strapped to a pallet, should I say. It was on a pallet, but not strapped down, and clearly took a number of dings. The box has got some pretty good gashes in it here and there. So FedEx, bad. You guys aren't doing it. And so let's get into this and see what we think. Okay, first impressions. Well, it's pretty. The faders feel nice for the most part. It would seem that in the subgroups, one of the faders got damaged, probably in manufacturing, because you can see the bent metal down there, and it hangs up when you get to there, and it stopped making the scraping noise that it was making as you went across the -5 point. The board seems to sound good. If you push it, you do hear a noise floor coming up, but that's always to be expected. At EQ, I would say, yeah, it's musical. There's that. This puppy. This is nice. It's switchable between 12 and 8K here, so you can get that. Probably above the range of most rock and rollers. So there's that. Now on the preamp gain, pushing it into overdrive here now. And it's going to crunch out there. It's got this funny little notch point where it suddenly jumps, and I don't know how to put it in dB, but it's got this point where right at the top, it's like it jumps 10% kind of thing, just in that last fraction of a turn. When you're working with a mic, it's notable. I had a dynamic mic, a Shure SM7, I think, plugged in, and it just felt like it really had to push the gain hard to get the dynamic mic to give me what I wanted. Again, first impression, haven't used it enough, but on the using condenser mics with phantom power, it seems pretty responsive. With the exception that this particular board, probably as a result of being beaten about by FedEx, has got channel 8. When I push that, when I have a condenser mic powered with phantom power plugged into this channel, the board starts inducting. It's like a pickup, and totally not cool. So I can't use channel 8, and it turns out that subgroup, master subgroup 1 does the same thing. I asked for a replacement, and they weren't keen on that. I think that they will replace it, but in the meantime, their solution was to send me a PDF on how to take the board apart and put in a channel strip. So that'll be the next step. Fix channel 8 so I can use this board for 3 months, and then hopefully I'll love it so much that I'll say yes, send on the replacement board. Right off the bat, one of the things that I see when I open it up is rust. There's the paint is bubbling up across here where the chassis was rusty metal prior to being painted. So one thing that's different than in the email they sent me with instructions as to how to do this is that these boards actually now have, and apparently didn't when they printed that PDF up, this style of release on the ribbon connector, so it actually pops them out. So now, having gone through all the steps of disconnecting all the cables inside and such, it's time to actually lift out the group. Okay, there's the group minus one channel. Well, got the board back together, and it's sort of a mixed bag. 8's working. The problem with the inductance isn't there now. However, oddly enough, the LEDs that are supposed to light up, not much action there for whatever reason. Maxing out that. So that's odd. The other thing that's odd is the pre-post. It's only sending it post through the effects loop. Not there. Well, just to recap, the console came FedEx, and evidently didn't stand up to the shipping process. Arrived with a bad channel, bad subgroup, and a dinged fader that gets hung up when you slide it up. So, initially, when I requested to have this board replaced by PMI, this was the solution. Send me a channel strip to install, which I did. And the problems weren't exactly the same, but they still couldn't use channel 8. So here we go again. They've sent me another box of parts, and it looks like a subgroup section. And I suggested that they send a new ribbon cable as well, just in case that was part of the problem. And nicely enough, it seems that there's a fader as well. Got this nice hardware on here that ejects the ribbon connectors across there. And what these cables that are disconnected were originally intended for the digital option. They are disconnected to improve signal to noise ratio. So there's those. Here's that fader ready to come out. Although I think I'll come back to that after I get through the harder part here. Got that channel in. It was a real difficult job because you have to drop the whole bucket out. Got that back. So the bucket's back in. Now, getting ready to swap the fader out. This bad. And lo and behold, the wiring is different on these. So the way this is set up is that the wiring is won't reach. Wow, today is just full of frustrations. But here's a mind blower. The ribbon that I was sent to replace this one with, just in case this is where the problem is actually a different size on the end connectors here. God's sake. Malcolm, I really wanted to fall in love with this board. I'm having a hard time. Well, hopefully I got the right fader. It's been like 6 days, and so my clients have been looking at this board sitting here upside down all week. But so hopefully by tomorrow we'll be back up and running on the ATB. Oh, you're kidding me. Really? That is not possible that they sent me the wrong one again. Look at that. What turkeys? They sent me the a channel instead of unbelievable. Well, conclusion, I suppose. In conclusion, if this channel is now good, I've got channel 8 working.
I was able to kind of get the ding out of that fader that was all hung up. Well, maybe not so great. The board, actually the master section, hear all that noise? Not that you'd necessarily have that turned up that high normally. So, hearing a lot of crosstalk with the fader pulled down. Of course, how I would be inclined to use this board would be to pretty much ignore the master section, which is inadequate, I think, and probably go with just using direct outs on here. I don't even know if I'd necessarily fold back to the board, except to maybe run something through the EQ and back into the DAW. For the most part, my desire for a board in this in the roll displays, since I've got all my boutique preamps, is that this would mainly provide tracking for primarily drums. So I certainly could get by with not using a lot of the things that I don't care about on this board. But for the price, I don't know. It's when there's a mic plugged into it, as I've pointed out before, a gain-hungry mic like the Shure SM7, basically you can't use that mic with this board. There's just not enough gain. So really you're going to be favoring mics that have high output. The EQ, it's okay. It's pretty nice. Plenty of bite there, but
and I believe it's true.
Unfortunately, I never did get to really track drums with this, so the main thing that I would want to use it for, I actually don't truly know. I did do a simple drum session. It really wasn't enough for me to feel like I got to know how that would behave in tracking drums. This is ironic that I'm wearing this, because after working with this board, I'm almost tempted to go look at some work surfaces that would give me some nice mic pre's with plenty of gain. Pretty simple, but have the DAW interface with the flying faders. Pretty basic needs as far as analog hybrid. I could do that, or I could just simply pull back in the SoundCraft board that I've parked out in the studio. Disenchanted. And I would eagerly look forward to the offer that I got from PMI to try out the Trident next year when it's released to the market. But actually, with my experience getting parts and getting the wrong parts, I mean, I love working with PMI as far as, you call them up, you got them by the phone, you got them, they know you by name. It's nice. It feels good that way. It sort of almost feels like family. But as far as the fact that, I've had such a bad track record with getting the wrong parts, like, come on into the studio, I'll ignore the board that's torn apart. It's like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to bail. I'm going to bail on this puppy. And Malcolm, like I said before, I really wanted to love this puppy, and it gets close, but and it's certainly a beautiful board. And it's nice to not have the dinky little wobbly plastic knobs that a lot of them have, but at the same time, I got to say that my fingers do get sore when doing a lot of tweaking on these aluminum knobs that are so close together and have this upper edge that's a little bit like a file. And It's just a little hard on the fingers, that top edge. They're beautiful aluminum knobs. Well, it's kind of aluminum plastic hybrid. But, alright, enough. And I don't know what the next clip will be, but I don't think it'll have this in it. Well, out with the TOFT. Okay, the SoundCraft board is back together and back in the studio and ready to go. And you know, I've used this board for over 17 years, I think, and in many ways it's almost as though the ATB was inspired by this. This one, there's a little bit more finger room between the knobs, and it doesn't have the cheese grater or file-like edge on the knobs. These knobs are quite, you can do a lot of twisting of them without getting sore fingers. The EQ on this is, let's see. Only doing this because I had a little sampling of this in the other section off the ATB.
A long tall salad,
The low
on
section.
her working shoes. Early in the morning, puts on her working shoes. She says I ain't got time to worry.
That top high-low, that is set up so that you can switch it over to the monitor path, that EQ. So, here it is, it's back. One of the things that I like about this board is that if I hit the solo, gives me a readout right here so that I can adjust the gain very readily. Just in a heartbeat, I can dial the gain to match the incoming signal. The other thing that's nice about it is that all across here it's got this set of switches that are the direct out selector, and depending on how you choose to have those pressed or depressed, the subgroups all fold back to these direct outs over here. So you know, you can choose whether or not you're going from the subgroup sends, or you don't even have to actually patch into this group. You can send in rollover sets of 8 over there. The ATB, I guess that I'll just have to chalk it up to another experience. It definitely was a growing experience. I got to take that thing apart and 3 times, and it's really unfortunate that it turned out to be such a huge waste of time for me, waiting for parts to come and then having the wrong parts come. And I'm sure that PMI is probably a good company. They certainly were personable for the most part, and it's nice that you can actually call someone and get through to them and even know them by name. A lot of big companies you just can't do that with. So I like PMI in that regard. I just am horribly frustrated that they didn't just simply swap out the damaged board at the beginning, and then further, just the fact that I kept on getting the wrong parts and such. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So, this board is in many ways actually going to suit me better, and I'll just be on the lookout for something else down the line, and don't know what that is, because it's a very funny market right now as far as what sort of consoles that will fit into this type of scenario. Project Studio, there's just not a very good selection, but in the meantime, I'm quite happy to go back to tracking through this board. There it is.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.